Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show, guys. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, guys, because 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 32 years later, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, guys. You know, we've all had the roughest few years of our lives, right? And unfortunately, a lot did not make it. And a lot through addiction, even some family and friends of mine. So I'm here to help you. I want you to know that I'm a nutritional health coach, and I'm also a recovery coach. All my services to you are free. And if you think my book can help someone, because I do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing. You can go to BAM, Barnes & Noble's, Amazon. It's everywhere. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com. You can order it from there and check out all my pages on my website. And please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. And guys, if you truly, truly, truly need my book and can't afford it, please, please reach out to me about that as well. I want everyone out there to know someone is listening. Reach out to me, okay? So I want to give a shout out to a few of my sponsors first. All right? So SOS for Life, the number 4, okay? So they are, I want you to go to their website, www.sos4life.org. Everything they do is to help children in need, any kind of need, okay? Physical, mental, abuse, anything. All proceeds go to them, all right? I know the people personally, so I'm vouching for them. They're having their second annual benefit event, Christmas Feels Like Home. It's held at Vinyl Lab in Nashville, Tennessee, December 9th. And their website, guys, is www.christmasfeelslikehome.com. Now, I want to give a shout out to Michael D'Amore, one of the greatest singers ever, okay? You can go to his website, www.michaeldamore.com. And for $1.99, guys, you could download his songs. Okay? I want to give a shout out to Brian Buckin Fuso. Everyone in Mercer County, New Jersey knows him as Bucky. He's like a family member to me. I've known him most of my life. He's a retired Robbinsville police officer, guys, and he's running for Mercer County Sheriff. We here at Hamilton Radio have done commercials for this guy. We need to get this guy in office for Mercer County. Got it? All right. Now, last but not least, Anthony Hudson. He's presidential candidate 2024, People Before Politics. So, guys, I don't usually have political, but I'm going to now. Not only did I get to meet this guy, he flew here, came live in studio. He's in his late 40s. The guy is a normal guy. He has a trucking company, a very small business in another state. And I was invited with the other producer from Hamilton Radio, Ruben, to go meet him at the borders a few months back, and we did. In Yuma, Arizona, we went to all the borders. We went to the good, bad, and ugly. We went to the legal borders, the legal border. We met everyone. We were there sometimes till 4 in the morning. I got to witness firsthand the truth about what's really going on. This guy right here has done more for our country than the president has. He even got to meet the First Lady because he went and helped all the hurricane victims and all the flooding victims in all the different states. He hasn't stopped. Okay? The president didn't come down to meet him, but the first lady said to him, I know who you are. So my plan is just to get this guy noticed. If he doesn't get in this one, we're getting him noticed. Okay? We've even done commercials for him, and he will be back here in September, live in studio. Anthony Hudson for president. So, having said that, guys, all right, you know I always bring it, right? Well, honey, I am really, really, really bringing it today. Okay? I'm looking for, there we go. Okay. I'm looking for a poem I will be reading throughout this show. But I want to just say this. I always bring it. And I'm going to say that this guy right here, I was so impressed. I heard him on another interview. We'll talk about that I had to have him. And I reached out and said, let's go. So I'm going to introduce him as Tommy Suggs. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
So, Tommy, tell everyone what you go by.
Sure. But the other name that I go by is T.W. Suggs.
Okay, very cool. But I also love Tommy, and it's with I-E, not Y.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
so cool too. Okay, I love being out of the boxes and all that craziness. All right. So, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me, Jerry. How are you?
I'm good. We should give a shout out to our mutual friend, Ricardo Richard. Okay.
What's up, Ricardo?
So, how do you know him? Let's talk about him a few minutes.
Sure. I met Ricardo. So I have a talk show, and my talk show is affiliated with another talk show called the Culture Talk Show, which is headed by Cher Hogue and the Culture Crew.
Okay.
And Ricardo recently became a part of is now serving as one of the co-hosts for the Culture Talk Show. And I met Ricardo that way.
Okay. And I got to hear him interview you on WBNN. And that's
Yes,
another
ma'am.
network that I'm on, and I got Ricardo on that one.
Yeah.
And let's tell everybody real quick about Ricardo. So this young man owns a piece of my heart. Okay, he lives here in Trenton, New Jersey, and he made a documentary called Hurt People, Hurt People. Okay, incredible. And I've got to meet most of the cast. I've done several interviews with him on the different networks. And he's going to be doing something because of me, which I'm so honored. Healed people, heal people. Okay?
Yeah.
So, Ricardo, we love you. Thank you. And thank you for this connection. So,
Yes.
Tommy, tell everyone the title of your book.
Sure. So the title of my book is Running Through the Rain, My Stories, Reflections, and Kind Reminders.
So, talk a little bit about that. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so Running Through the Rain is a play on words. I'm a very visual person. So when I hear words, or even when I'm in conversations, I start to see pictures, right? I'm a creative to my heart. And my feeling as it pertains to truth, our stories, the things that we encounter, we deal with our stories and the things that we encounter the same way we deal with rain. So when it starts to rain, if we're walking down the street and, the clouds get heavy and, the sun goes away, and it just starts to pour, the first thing we're all going to do is we're going to run for shade, put up our umbrellas, put, the backs of our coats up over our heads, or get some newspaper and run to the closest awning or shelter or store or wherever. And I feel we do the same thing with our stories, those difficult truths, those difficult stories, those difficult things that may have happened. Instead of allowing those things to touch our skin, we like to put up barriers. So the book in and of itself is an invitation to allow you to say, walk in your rain, run in your rain. Don't run from your rain, run through your rain. Let your story touch your skin. You've been graced to allow yourself to embrace that truth, whatever it is, because whatever you don't allow to touch your skin, you can't heal from.
Wow. Continue.
Yeah. I broke the book up into like pretty much three parts. They're all interwoven. So there's Um, you have the my story part, reflections and kind reminders. So the my story part, those are the things that actually happened. The things that when I'm talking about, laundry day or cookies and crumbs, Saturday morning, those stories actually happened. But then I also have reflections, and those reflections are kind of stories that haven't happened, but they have a healing message in there. And then there's kind reminders that deal with that say it's okay for you to tell yourself your story. We're so caught up on listening to everybody else's story, but sometimes we have to listen to our own.
Okay, so first of all, that was beautifully said. And you're right. You're absolutely right. You know, all right, when I wrote my book,
Hmm.
I actually still have the folders and everything when I was in the rehab 32 years ago that I had to
Wow.
write. And I had to write letters to myself and to people I've hurt and whatever. And I was rereading these letters crying,
Wow.
okay? And, that's my story. And you're right. So let me ask you, how has your life been? Like, did you have a rough road? Was there any addiction involved? Any abuse? Are you an open book?
Yeah, so the road for my story, which is one of the reasons why I even decided to write it, was a difficult road. Um, being, a black kid growing up in Philadelphia, in the semi-hood, was definitely a difficult experience. I've gone through, at a young age, being touched inappropriately by a friend and the trauma that caused, not knowing, what that meant, how to respond to it, and how that even showed up later in life in my childhood. Um, Even there's a story in there called Voices, where I actually heard voices telling me to kill myself, and how me and my mom worked through that. And yeah, so the road definitely has been rough, but one thing I have to say is that God, in all of his providence, wisdom, and grace, is that even though there were a lot of traumatic, climactic, rough points, I also still see sprinkles of grace and sprinkles of mercy, where it makes those stories, not only that you're able to get through them, that you're able to conquer them, but also where you're able to embrace them in such a way where where you see them now, where you see the strength that you receive from them, and now you can share that with somebody else. So there were definitely some inflections, some serious inflections of trauma, and not just for me, not just my story, because a lot of times we get wrapped up in our own stories and our own narrative, but and we sometimes forget that our stories are interwoven with other perspectives and other hearts and other people. So in my story, I've seen the hardship of my mother. I've seen the hardship of my father. I've seen the hardship of my friends. So yeah, so there was definitely some hard parts in there.
Were your parents together through your childhood?
Yes, so my mother and my biological father, they separated, or they went their separate ways when I was very young, when I was still a baby. My mom moved up to Philadelphia. She was in the military, and she was stationed in Georgia.
Okay.
My mom came back up, and when I was about 8 or 9, she married Arthur Barfield, who is my father through marriage. I don't call him my stepdad. He is a dad to me. My
Okay.
biological father is a dad, and so is he. He
Oh,
was also a dad. Um,
okay.
but yeah, so my mom and my father through marriage, they were together until he recently passed last year.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
so you had both your dads in your life.
Yes.
That was beautiful. So,
Yeah.
I want to ask you something for people out there listening. So,
Yeah.
you're 40, how old are you?
Right now I'm 39. I will be 40 August the 4th.
Okay, so you're 40 years old, but I'm
Mhm.
62. So things were very different when I was younger. Someone touched me, a neighbor. Okay, and
Yeah.
I couldn't tell my father because my father would have killed him with his bare hands. So,
Yeah.
but they moved away. Anyway, long story short, this isn't about me, but you had mentioned you were inappropriately touched.
Yeah.
So, everyone out there that's listening that maybe now is dealing with that, what advice can you give them?
Oh goodness. Um, I would say I would say a few things.
Okay.
Um, the first one of the things that I would say just generally is, and I know this is going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people who's listening, is forgive. I know it is hard to forgive the person who victimized you, the person who took advantage of innocence, the person who, especially if it was a person who you trusted. I know it's hard to forgive that person, but until we really forgive people, and there's a difference between true forgiveness and burying something. Burying something and real forgiveness is not the same. There is something that there is a kind reminder that I have in the book, and it centers around debt collection, and the idea is that whenever we don't forgive an offense or a charge that's made, it accumulates debt, and and when that shifts into debt, it accumulates interest, and it gets more and more difficult for that thing to be charged off. So forgive, even if they never apologized, charge it off, be done with it. The other thing that I would say is specifically for men is that this is more common. Men being molested, men being sexually abused, and men being raped is way more common than what we think. And many men will never say anything about it because of the misogynistic, toxic, masculine world that we're living in. So men are not allowed to express just on a surface level who they are and how they feel emotionally, but especially something that involves that's so close to manhood. So many men don't express that part, but instead of expressing it, they swallow it, and whatever you swallow, it comes out of your pores. It comes out of you somehow, some way, whether it's impacting your temper. You may not be an angry man. You may be a hurt man, and there may be something that you forgot, that you buried, that you never addressed, that's still there from when you were six. You may be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. You're not a cranky man. You're a hurt boy, and there's something inside of you that is crying out. That's an inner cry. There's something inside that's crying out that needs to be healed. So those would be so that would be what I would share for someone who has experienced something similar to what you and I have experienced, is forgive. But then specifically for a man is to look at it. It happens. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel isolated, because that happened to you, but get the help and the attention that you may need.
So, okay, was it a man that touched you?
It was.
Okay, and did you tell your parents when it happened?
So what happened though, it was a boy who was I was a little boy, and it was a boy who was like maybe like a year or two or three older than me.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
and what happened is my grandmother's neighbor saw what was happening. We didn't see her, and she reported to my grandmother.
gotcha.
My grandmother pulled me in, and then we talked about it to my mom.
Okay.
And later on in life, it came back up, because I'm like, mom, and there's a story in my book called Mom, Do You Love Me? And because for years I was like, I don't know if this means what he did to me. I don't know if this means that I'm gay now. Does this mean that, like what's going on in me? I don't know what's going on. I still feel heavy. I feel sad. I feel anxious. And my mom sat with me and she said, you have to distinguish between, I'm paraphrasing, but you have to distinguish between who you really are and the trauma that you experienced.
Wow.
The trauma that you experienced is not who you are. It was an experience, right? So I can go to Hawaii, but it does not make me a Hawaiian. It was an experience. And I think that a lot of times with many of us, we have difficulty with separating who we actually are and the experiences that we have.
So I have a question. Well, I want to make a little statement first.
Sure.
I don't know if you've ever talked to this grown man now ever since. You have?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
But you know he was probably being abused.
Yes.
Okay, that's I would say 99% across the board because a child wouldn't know to do that unless it was happening to him.
Yeah.
Hurt people, okay?
Right.
So my brother was very overweight growing up, obese since he was born. He was 13 pounds and almost died at birth. So they didn't
Wow.
know back then. He's 63. They didn't know back then what to do. You know, the Italian mom just fed him and fed him, fed him. Every time he got bullied and cried, here's more meatballs, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, now, about a year ago, now we grew up in Long Island City, New York, and he was bullied every day by a brother and a sister. The brother is gone now. He ended up dying. He was in jail, died of AIDS. I mean, a mess, poor thing, right? And the sister, to me, she was like 6 feet tall. And I remember my brother coming home crying because she bullied him. And my father, the Italian tough guy, slaps my brother and says, you know, you're bigger than everybody. Beat them up, you know what I mean? And my
Yeah.
father was amazing. He loved us, but that's how they dealt with things too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I remember this one day, and I hope anyone out there that's being bullied or was bullied can really get what I'm saying here, because this is a really incredible story. One day I was young, I might have been in fourth grade, and I remember saying that day, I'm going to get one good shot in tomorrow, Lord. She'll kill me, but she seemed like 6 feet to me. I was this tiny little thing, but I don't care. So we went to Catholic school, which was 2 blocks away, and we had to pass their doorway. And my mom always had to hold my brother's hand because he was always, right? So I'm pretending I'm like dancing and running, and I go ahead of them, and I climb up on the railway, the door railing, and I'm holding up onto their the curt thing, whatever. And she comes out, and I punch her right in the face. And she beats the crap out of me. I'm bleeding. My uniform's ripped. My mother comes around the corner screaming. She runs off of me. I'm crying, and I go, it's okay. I don't care. I got one good shot, and I got one good shot in Aunt. Okay. A year ago on Facebook, I see her name. I message her, and I said, do you remember me? She said, of course, you're Geraldine. I said, can we talk? I give her my number. We talked. She was so upset and apologetic and told me, please, apologize to your brother. They were so abused, her and her brother, that
Wow.
when they were bad, the father would hold her brother's hands over fire on the stove. So that resonated with me my whole life, back
Yeah.
then, of him being bullied. But now that I know, it's just even more heartbreaking for me with the bullies. The bullies are being tortured.
Yeah.
And that we need to have more compassion even for the bullies.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And that's what I was saying in reference to, like, our stories are not our own. There's a narrative and there's a story that we see, but then there's a story that ties into that story, and there's a story that ties into that. And a lot of times, because we're humans and we can be selfish at times, and it feels, if you're not careful, it feels good to be the victim. Well, this is what happened to me, and they're wrong for that. But there is a story. If you just walk down this hallway and you slow down a bit, and if you look to the right, there is a door right there that leads to an entirely different story outside of the hallway that you've always walked down. And if you would just turn a knob and look down that and look in that room and see what's going on inside of there, it would help us to be a bit more grateful and gracious. It'll help us to have more grace for people, their stories, because a lot of things that pour into our lives from other people is because of stories in their own universes that they're experiencing, that they're going through. And the example that you shared about, about your brother and these two kids who are bullying him, I think that's a perfect example of that. And I thank you for sharing that as well, because I think that was very healing for
Yep.
somebody else, not just for the kid who was bullied, but for the bully to know, hey, I got some healing to do as well.
Yes. And I told her, we forgive you, of course.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful
Yeah.
conversation. So
Wow.
like, Facebook, right? Social media. There's so much good that can come out of it, guys, if you just use it for good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, okay, so now when we talk about, and you were saying you have to forgive, and I agree 1,000%, but let's
Yeah.
clarify with everyone listening, especially if they're young. When we say you have to forgive, that does not mean you have to have that person back in your life. Okay?
100% correct.
Talk about that. Let them understand that.
With so there's forgiveness does not mean access.
That's right.
It means that in reference to this charge over here, in reference to this situation over here, I forgive you for this, and not just for you, but because there has to be an untying of myself. I have to sever me from this incident.
That's
I
right.
have to sever the connection, between me and what happened. And one of the ways we do that is through forgiveness. But it does not mean that you go and, okay, well, hey, come back in. No, sometimes it's almost the same thing as this. Like I appreciate safaris and all that other stuff and whatnot, but I'm not going to be in the cage with the lion.
I love it, because I would.
Like for me, like I'll look, as long as there's like a bar or something like that, I'm okay. Like, but I understand, and it's because I understand your nature. No matter how, even though you may come up and you may seem calm right now, and you may seem like this way over here, when I discern your nature, and if that's your nature, then then it is healthy to have those boundaries. It is healthy for there to be distance. There is nothing wrong with forgiving people and there being and the distance that's necessary for your own mental, emotional, spiritual, and even physical health. And then the other thing that I just feel led to share is that you can't save everybody. Some people, you have to let them go on their own journey. Sometimes we get ourselves in these relationships or these situations. Well, I love him, I love her, and I just don't want to see them struggle. But no, you better take care of yourself too. You can't save everybody. Sometimes you have to take care of you and trust that God is going to go ahead and take care of them.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I mean, everything you're saying, and of course resonates with me.
Yeah.
I had to heal.
Hmm.
I mean, gosh, I was probably in counseling for 20 years straight. For 20 years straight. I'm friends with all the counselors. Sometimes they'll call me for advice now. It's hysterical. I've interviewed them, okay? We make fun of each other. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But you're right. We can't save everyone. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of people pretend they want your help, but they won't listen to anything you say. And even then, it's okay to walk away. Keep them
Yeah.
in prayer, but walk away.
Yeah. 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 I agree. I think especially, and I just feel led to share this too. The person that you're trying to help can sometimes be a manipulator.
There
You
you go.
know, they're trying to, it's not that they want the help, but it's that they want control. And also misery loves company. So they may see that you're getting yourself together and and they know how to manipulate, they know how to work you, they know what buttons to push, they know your cracks and your crevices, and they know exactly how to work and know what to do to keep you locked in, to keep you right there, whether it's faking tears, whether it's this or whether it's that, but sometimes you just gotta
Yep.
see.
and discernment. You got to pray, ask
Oh,
God
yeah.
to make sure you have it. I'm going to share
Yeah.
something about Ricardo, and he's put this out there, so I'm not saying anything that we haven't talked about on air, but how
Yeah.
we kind of met at first. So this was years ago, and it was in the middle of the night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. So I'm on my phone, on Facebook, whatever, and a message, I guess, pops up from Ricardo. And he may have seen my book or whatever. We didn't know each other at all. And he said, please, can we talk? And I see that it's this young black guy. And I just said, all right, Lord, do you want me to talk to him? And he said, yes.
Mhm.
Okay? And I give him my number. Imagine that. People are probably listening saying, what, are you crazy? I knew it was from God.
Wow.
And here he is outside of a club,
Mhm.
okay, drinking and drunk and sad, and I talked him off the cliff. And
Wow.
from that moment on, okay,
Yeah.
we're in each other's lives. And so sometimes put it before God, and God will give you an answer,
Yes, he will.
you know?
Yes, he will. He most certainly will. My favorite scripture is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, um, where it just says, when we seek him, he'll direct our footsteps, he'll direct our paths. He'll keep our path straight. So wherever we go in life, we have to keep him first, and we have to do that. We have to submit that thing to him in prayer. He will definitely give us clarity. He'll give us answers. It's about us being open, available, and listening, however he chooses to communicate and however he chooses to answer those questions.
Well, he chooses to hit me over the head because,
He
I
does the
always
same
laugh
thing
and,
with me too sometimes.
I always say God cannot whisper to me. So he will hit me over the head. Okay, and I'm like, all right, Lord, gotcha. So, so what
Mhm.
else do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey and your radio shows? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. The radio show is awesome. Um, I actually just started it this year. It's called the Tommy Talk Show, and it is a faith-based, family-friendly show. And the core of the show and the whole premise of the show is to build community, and to pull people in from various parts of that community to help inform, inspire, to help heal, and to help improve our communities through that information. So a lot of the shows are very theme based. For example, I had a show for women in May to celebrate, Mother's Day is in May. So we said, let's take the whole month of May and we're just going to do all our shows for May. I mean, all our shows for women in May. And so we had one called Celebrating Her Power, where we met with some amazing female CEOs, and they discussed the challenges of being in the room as the only female, or being misunderstood, their power being misunderstood as being bossy when it's actually her, walking in her authority. We had another in June. We just celebrated, all the guys for Father's Day, and one of the shows that we had was called Beneath His Armor, and we had it was a group. It was a group discussion, but the discussion opened up with Dr. George James, who
Okay.
was a licensed family and marriage therapist, and we discussed Beneath His Armor because for many men, like we were just discussing, for many men, we wear this armor, and the armor looks good, it's shiny, but we're hemorrhaging beneath. We're bleeding out. We have gaping wounds beneath it. And nobody really wants to talk about what that looks like. So how do we get beneath the armor? How do we get healing? And when do we know a man is bleeding out? Because a lot of times what's happening with many men is they are bleeding out on their families. It's not that they're a bad guy. It's just that there's wounds that have not been tended to. So the show is very theme based. We're pulling people in from all parts of the community just to have very focused, intentional, intelligent, and thoughtful conversations that can help move all of us forward. So in September, we're looking to have conversations around education. We're looking to have conversations, not just around education. We're going to be doing stuff with entrepreneurship and people who want to be authors. What are the resources out there? I'm sure you experienced that after, you wrote your book. Everybody was like, okay, I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. So,
Yes.
how about we provide those people with those resources and those opportunities to, get that information so that they can write their own book. So that's what the show is about. And it's been an amazing ride so far. Shout out to P3 Christian Radio. Shout out to the Culture Talk Show and the whole Culture fam. Shout out to Keith Pelzer. Shout out to iHeart and all those other amazing people.
Yes, we will be on iHeart. This show will be on iHeart Radio Tuesday night.
Woo! Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I would like to read a poem out of my book,
Sure.
but I'm going to let you choose which one you want me to read. Okay?
Okay.
I have one Christianity. I have
Okay.
one Face It Till You Make It. Not fake it till you make it. Face it. Or Put Down the Gun.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh, I want to hear "Put Down the Gun."
Yep. Okay, I thought so. All right. Now, it's very short. This one's short, but to the point.
Yeah.
And I want everyone out there listening to know that, again, if you're suicidal, if you're depressed, and you feel like it's not worth living, you're wrong, okay? It is worth living. Take it to God, get help, but here's the poem, okay? And the gun can be anything. Anything that you want to either end your life with or abuse your life, even gambling, right? Whatever it is. I know I have a friend who lost his family, his kids, his home. I mean, so anything can be your gun.
Yeah.
I had to have this purple gun just in case my life was done. I kept it safe, locked in my room, 'cause I was filled with gloom and doom. Yes, there were times that I just knew if I loaded it up what I could do, but I kept on hearing that gentle voice, put down that gun, you have that choice. Life may seem hard at the end of the day, but that's when you need to really pray. Dear Father, I beg you to show me the truth. How can life be so bad when I'm only a youth? Get rid of that gun and go take a shower. Ask someone for help. You do have that power.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
people need to understand that there's always help out there.
Yeah.
There's always help out there.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. So, wow. So what else would you like to talk about? We still have a few minutes.
Yeah. Um, so I don't know. You know what? I'll do this. You read me something from yours. I'll
Oh,
read you some.
please, and show everybody your book cover. Show everybody your
Oh,
book
yeah.
cover.
I don't know if it gets real weird with this.
All
Let me see
right,
if
I
I
see it
can.
right there, running through the rain.
Okay,
Now,
there it is.
there it is. Now bring it up a little. Just bring it up a little. Yeah, 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 yeah. Keep going. Perfect. Running through the rain, guys. I love
There
it.
it is.
Okay, now read us something out of your book. Wonderful.
All right. I can do. Hmm. All right. We can do sweet and easy like Saturday morning, or we can do that one is a little long. Hmm. Or we can do the tumbling bag. I'll let you decide.
Okay.
Saturday morning,
All right.
the tumbling bag, or um, let him speak.
Okay, hold on. Now I have a question about the tumbling bag I'm going for, I think. But let him
Yeah.
speak. Is that God?
No, it's not.
Okay. So, all right, do tumbling bag.
Okay.
Let's do it.
It caught my eye while I was staring out of the window. The somersaulting, flipping, turning, twisting, and tumbling high in the sky on invisible balance beams with agility, grace, and delight. It was a welcome distraction from the humdrum routine of another day of school. A white plastic bag that had thank you written on it, soaring freely, high in the air, unnoticed by the people walking below and the cars driving lazily on the street. The leaves on the street corners and the gutters rustled and spun, aroused by the gentle gust of wind. But their dance was rigid, not free and fluid like the bag. I stared, dazed, watching the bag, wishing I too were free like it. No worries, just free to soar and flip in the wind.
That is so cool. All right, read me one more, your choice, because that was amazing.
Yeah, I will read because you said let him because you asked about let him speak.
Yes.
I'll let him speak.
Okay.
And this is real quick.
Okay.
I tried locking him away and hiding him, but he would not have it. He refused to be silent, and I could not ignore him any longer. The boy in me had something to say. I decided to let him speak. I'm ready for that conversation now.
Okay, you're not done. You're not done. Okay. First of all, that's amazing because too many adults feel like they've been silenced.
Yeah.
And what you just said is brilliant because we all have that child inside of us still wanting to come out and speak.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, read the other one. Come on.
That one is Saturday morning.
Okay.
Um, okay. The morning sunlight dances on his brown face. His complexion looks like honey. Golden rays sneak between the blinds in his window, jump on his bed, and splash the light on his white bedroom walls. The ambient sound of his mama and papa talking over the faint buzz of the television while pots and pans full of grits, eggs, and bacon slide and clang on the hot stove. The salty smell of bacon mama picked up from the Italian market on Ninth Street and soft biscuits filled the air of his small bedroom. His eyes are closed, but he is wide awake, hearing and smelling everything going on in the world around him. Grinning like the cat that ate the canary, he stretches and twists and stretches. His arms fully extended and his toes spread out, and he stretches. He turns over like his mama's flapjacks, eyes still shut. His door creaks open, and a head pops in. It's his mama checking on him. The sunlight makes her complexion look like honey, too. He pretends to be asleep. She smiles. Her head disappears behind the door. This is perfect. This is home. This is Saturday.
It's beautiful. Thank you for reading those to me because they're just beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you have a website?
I do. My website is www.twsuggs.com.
Okay, I love that. Do you have any other information if people want to get in touch with you that you put out there? An email,
Yeah.
anything else?
Absolutely. My Instagram and my Facebook, they're both the same, TW Suggs. And Suggs is spelled SUGGS. The email is info@twsuggs. Everything is TW Suggs.
Yeah.
If you want to check out the talk show, we release new shows every second and fourth Saturday. I'm taking a break in the month of August for self-care and just, woo-sighing. But I will be back on the grind back in September.
Okay.
Back in September. So check me out. I would love for your comments and for your views.
So you could always tag me in one of your shows, okay? To give me a little
Absolutely.
reminder and I'll check it out. I think you're amazing. And I honestly Very few people have I ever just reached out and said, I have to have you. And I mean that. And when I heard you talking, I said, this guy is off the charts and can help so many people.
Wow.
So God
Wow.
is absolutely using you because you're allowing it. You opened yourself up to God and said, use me, Lord.
Wow.
That's what's needed. You know,
Yeah.
everybody likes to say, well, if there's a God, why are all these bad things happening? Well, we have choices. He gives us free will, which I would never want to live without. But along
Yeah.
with free will comes consequences, guys. So he's not forcing us to do anything, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people have put him wherever they decided to put him, whatever they've done. But I know there's a God.
Yeah.
And, you know, guys, please, if there's anyone out there that really wants to talk to me about accepting Jesus, I am here. Reach out to me, okay? And I'm telling you, there is a God,
Yeah.
okay? So, Tommy, how would you like to close? What would you like to say to everyone?
Um, First of all, just thanking you again, Jerry,
Oh,
for allowing me to come on
thank
this
you.
talk show. This has been amazing. I
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate you and your producers. I really do. This has been a great conversation. It didn't feel like an interview, it felt like a conversation, which I
Yes,
really appreciate and I
yes.
love. And for anybody who's listening, just want to encourage you not to give up. Just want to encourage you that right where you are, God loves you as you are, where you are, how you're feeling. He understands it. So don't feel any shame. Don't feel any condemnation. Don't feel any of that stuff. He loves you as you are. But just come to him and he'll help you.
Come to him. That's the key here, guys. Come to him.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you for honoring me with this. Are you kidding me? So I always say, yeah, my interviews, I don't actually interview. I love sitting here and talking to the people that you know, their stories, and your story is amazing, and your book, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So God is really using you, and I am so honored that we spent some time together today. I'm going to do something a little different, Gino. We're not going to close out with my theme song. I'm going to read a poem, and then then we'll close out, okay? I'm feeling compelled to read this poem, and this is why. You know, everybody out there listening, God didn't create me better than you or Tommy better than you. You know, what he created in all of us is that we all have gifts and talents, every one of us. But it's up to us to really dig deep down and figure out what they are and then use them. And that gives back to God. Okay? Don't bury your gifts and talents, guys, because every single person out there is worth it. So I wrote a poem called Utilizing Gifts and Talents. Please, please, guys, really listen to these words, okay? It's for you, whoever needs to hear this. And then, Tommy, we'll close. And again, thank you, sweetheart. Here we go. Utilizing gifts and talents. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. See, I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us not be abused. See, we can go far in life for sure using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life, what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second-rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. So our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened, and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, T.W. Suggs, baby, your name will live forever, forever and a day. So go through life excited, for what you sure can give to yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. Make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what you've done, sweetheart. So I want to
Wow.
thank you. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And everyone listening, please share this show. Get that guy's book and check him out. Take care, everybody.